Okay, Mr. Ahmed.
Yes.
Thank you very much for to be here. So and also to be interviewed by me regarding human rights in general, and also fully probably you can also to respond to me about Malaysia's context. But I think first of all, I think I want to ask you a question, because the idea about international convention, I think something very it's not really used to, by meaning that the Malaysian not really used to the idea of international law, especially when it comes to issue of civil and political rights, and also in the context of international covenant on civil and political rights. So can you enlighten us, how this ICCPR, International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, so important to the international community, and also at the same time important in the context of Malaysia? What do you think?
The importance emanates from a number of elements. First of all, this is one of the oldest legal instruments related to human rights. It has been adopted more than 50 years ago, and it is a universal legal instrument now, as we have more than 170 states party to it. Then it is really universal, and then it has developed step by step, because as I have explained in this workshop, you cannot just have a stagnant covenant. The covenant should be adapted to nowadays world, and then that's why we have what we call general comments, that it's a kind of interpretation. We had done already a number of articles, and the last one was related to right of life, we adopted last year. And the aim is, as I said, is to adapt the provision of the convention to the development which took place over the last 50 years. Here is the importance, and the importance is that there is a mechanism which is the committee, and we are responsible to see the implementation of this covenant, and the implementation is mainly by the reporting of states party to us as a committee, and our recommendation to them. And when we issue recommendation, it is recommendations, but we have what we call a follow-up rapporteur. He follows out with the countries about the implementation of the recommendation. That's the importance of the committee and of the committees.
The main ideas in Malaysia right now, I think, debates. I think if you notice in our discussion about ICCPR, for example, people so concerned about ICCPR, they're saying that this is a this is an international law, which is going to be, replace our law, our belief, because they believe that Malaysia law, Malaysia constitution is very unique to Malaysia. So it's not we cannot accept international law, which I think can somehow can replace our law in Malaysia. So how you can ensure to them that actually international convention can actually support and also give more freedoms when it comes to civil political rights to the people, and actually people not to worry so much about I think this is misconception among nations regarding international law that can replace Malaysian constitution as well Malaysian law.
Now, when you speak about international law and obligations of international law, it should be, if you accept a legal instrument, you should introduce what is in the instrument to your national law, to your legislation, and then sometimes there is a need to reformulate your national legislations to fit within your international obligation, because you cannot have a national obligation which does not fit with an international obligation you adhere to. This is not related only to the covenant, but to any other convention in the world. It can relate to the NPD, to non-proliferation. When you speak about disarmament, it's not only the issue of human rights, it's all other issues of, as I say, economic issue, disarmament issue, and so on. And this is a rule in international law, that if you adhere to a convention, your legislation should fit within the framework of the convention. It does not mean that it should fit by 100%, because if it can fit by 80 or 90%, it is okay, because if all the legislation of the world will fit 100%, that means even there is no use to have a committee like ours to have a follow-up. And therefore, if a country feels that it can fit by 80% of its obligation, they should go ahead and ratify, accede to the convention of the covenant, and then step by step they can fulfill other obligation by seeing the practice, by seeing how other states, when they come and present the reports, they see how other states present the report, how they fulfill their engagement, and so on.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we discussed during this workshop is really about hate speech. So, and also there's a concern on hate speech as well in the context of Malaysia. So, but as we know that the level of implementation or regulation on hate speech varied between countries. So meaning that in fact the idea, the definition of hate speech is also different from country to country. So, what is your views for what best for Malaysia?
The covenant is very clear. There are criteria, and I mentioned those criteria when we were just now in the meeting. And these criteria should be the framework within which any country should formulate the legislation. And also, as I said, it's not only the question of legislation, it's a question of the implementation of legislation, which is very important, because if you have only legislation and they don't have the implementation, don't have the tool to implement it, and one of the tools is to, for instance, train the judiciary, train the law enforcement agency, if to have the right education, is to deal with public opinion, is to deal with some practice which are not right, and to try to convince people that these practices are not right, and so forth. Therefore, you have criteria to formulate the legislation. You have practical steps to be taken for the implementation, and then they complement each other.
I think just now, you mentioned about a few steps should be taken, but now I think our Malaysian government have thinking about to ratify ICCPR.
Yes.
So, in your point of view, what is the best, or what steps need to be taken in order to ratify ICCPR in the future in Malaysia?
The steps that, first of all, I think that this meeting, we had this workshop, is very useful, because I have been requested to speak on a number of issues, and think that I believe that now issues are clear, how we are dealing with the covenant, how we are implementing with the covenant, and this will help the government to really evaluate and to see by the implementation of the covenant how they join. I spoke about the provisions, not only a provision of the covenant, but also about what we call the general comments, about practicality, how we address the issue, how we deal with the country, what happened to the reports, and I believe also that there is an opportunity to have a good step, for instance, to send somebody to the next, because we have observers who can come. And then we have our next session, 2nd of March to 27th of March. And then it will be very useful that Malaysia, for instance, send an observer, either from here or from the mission in Geneva, to see exactly how things are going on in the committee itself, the practical way. And this will help Malaysia to accede to the covenant.
Last question from me.
Yes.
This is about ICCPR. I hope you can also comment about those issues. So because almost I think all Muslim countries ratify ICCPR already, except for two only, Malaysia and also Brunei. So, and I think there's a sole concern in Malaysia regarding ICCPR incompatible with Islam and also with Sharia law. So, do you have any comment on that concern?
No, I can speak about our covenant. But I'm not really aware about the other concepts we are. I'm here to speak about the covenant itself, the covenant on civil and political rights. And as I explained, and also I dealt with the issue of religion, how we deal with the issue of religion, and so on. And I think this is something very broad and countries should always have, when they come, the right reply. They should think about what is how they can implement the provision concerning the freedom of religion and what the definition we have and what the practice is there. But anyhow, as I said, in other occasions, there is no country who can fulfill by 100% its obligation, not only concerning this covenant, but many other legal instruments, convention, and so on. But a positive step should be taken, and then other steps to be there in order to fit. I gave the example, for instance, for our covenant. People think that there are some countries who are the paradise for human rights, but in some countries that people assume that the paradise for they don't have equality of wage between men and women, and you cannot imagine who are these countries. They speak about, for instance, Nordic country. They don't have still, and then they are party, and they try to do their best to fulfill the obligation which are not fulfilled until now concerning their obligation related to the conflict.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all for me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Stop recording.